Okay, just before we take the next question, we'll be back at 3:15 on part 2 of this GAC, and that will focus on language mostly. And let's take maybe max 5 minutes so we can also allow the panelists to have a break.
Should I wait or just go ahead? All right. Yeah, I think one of you had a slide that referenced this deep learning framework for neuroscience. I think maybe it was Yuko. And one of the ingredients of that is the objective function. And I think that could be a really powerful way to understand vision, is to identify the function that's being optimized by the visual system, or the functions. That seems like a really hard thing to infer from data. You can train a network to solve a task and then regress it onto brain activity, but lots of different tasks give you identical prediction performance. So that there seems to be an identifiability problem there. So I don't know. I'm just curious to see if anyone has ideas for how to perform that kind of more abstract inference, and maybe some of these geometric approaches that Soo-Young could. Maybe that would yield some insight. I don't know.
Yeah, so I was going to raise my hand, but yeah, precisely. I think if you have a probe trained for a particular task, that can tell you that the representation that you're given from the real data is good for that task, and then you can do multiple iterations of that with different types of tasks, and you can. I guess that will give you a version of a quantitative inference on whether the given data that we have access to is good for a particular task.
I also think this is an area where Nico's nice approach of controversial stimuli or controversial, I'll say, situations, to generalize that a little bit, can be really useful. So you might have networks trained with different objective functions or loss functions that are similar in many ways, and find it hard to disambiguate them. And the key is really to identify the scenarios in which they differ from each other, and then ask which of those are more or less similar to brains. And Nico's got this nice approach for identifying those specific scenarios that help you differentiate between models. So it might not be quite as hopeless as it seems, although it's still obviously very hard.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, we'll stop after Bingju's question.
Okay, cool.
Because
yeah,
it will have the same panel again later. So
can I ask or no?
We'll save you for panel number 2.
Okay.
You'll be the first person to ask a question. Thanks. Let's thank our speakers again. Thank you.